I've always loved the peace of my cabin in Pine Ridge. Tucked away from the hustle of the main road, it's my sanctuary, a place to relax, fish, and enjoy time with friends and family. That peace, however, was shattered one sunny afternoon when Karen, the notorious HOA president, decided to escalate her obsession with control again. My friend Jake had come over for a weekend stay. We were grilling by the fire pit and chatting about old times when I noticed Karen peering over the fence. Her face twisted in that familiar mix of rage and self-importance. I waved politely, but it didn't matter. A few minutes later, my phone buzzed. It was my neighbor calling to warn me that Karen had already dialed 911. Apparently, seeing me in my own yard with a friend was a suspicious activity warranting emergency services. I couldn't help but laugh until the sirens started. Within minutes, a squad car pulled up, lights flashing. I stepped out, hands raised, ready to explain. But before I could say anything, another vehicle roared in, a SWAT van. My jaw dropped. Apparently, Karen had exaggerated her claims so dramatically that they treated it like a potential hostage situation. Officers piled out, shields up, weapons at the ready. I calmly walked toward them. "Good afternoon, officers. This is my property, my cabin, and my friend is visiting," I said, holding up my ID and property deed. The SWAT leader blinked, then carefully reviewed my documents. A few tense minutes later, realization dawned. They were being set up by a local HOA Karen. I invited them in for coffee, figuratively, of course, and showed them around my property, pointing out the cabin boundaries, security cameras, and even the fire pit where Jake and I had been grilling. The officers exchanged glances, some trying not to chuckle at the absurdity. "We've had complaints from Karen," one said. "She claimed there was a potential threat in progress." I shook my head. Threat? The only threat here is Karen's imagination. Meanwhile, Karen could be seen pacing on the edge of the street, shouting at the officers, waving her arms, and pointing at my cabin as if her indignation alone could make the law bend. The SWAT team, maintaining professional patience, politely explained the situation. "Ma'am, you filed a false report. This is a federal offense." Karen's face went pale. I think she expected the officers to side with her. As HOA president, she clearly thought she was above the law. Instead, she was informed she could face fines and potential criminal charges for filing a false emergency report. Her yelling escalated, but no one was listening. Once the misunderstanding was cleared, the SWAT team packed up, leaving me and Jake to resume our weekend. Karen had stomped off, muttering threats about next time. But I knew better. Any further antics would be met with legal action. Sitting back by the fire pit, sipping coffee, I reflected on the surreal turn of events. Someone had genuinely called for a tactical response over a friendly visit on my property. But the universe had a funny way of balancing things. Karen's overreach had not only failed spectacularly, but had also put her squarely in the crosshairs of the law. By the next week, the HOA quietly sent out a notice reminding members that false reports could result in serious consequences. Karen, meanwhile, avoided my property like the plague. And I got to enjoy my cabin, my friend, and a story that would make even the boldest HOA nightmare pale in comparison. Sometimes the best way to deal with entitlement isn't anger or confrontation. It's letting the law and a little irony do the talking. And in this case, the SWAT team did all the talking for me.